I believe everybody has a layer of makeup on, and that's all people really see is the exterior. Sometimes we never get to experience a person for who they are because we're so intrigued with what we see. And what we see is not always what it is. It's just a mask. It's just a cover up. Hey, yo, what's up, you guys? It's Craig Starr.
And you're listening to another episode.
This is
Behind the Makeup, the podcast.
It is 7:32 a.m. I am sitting in my living room looking out the window. The skies are blue. The sun is out. And you are listening to Behind the Makeup, the podcast. And I have a very special guest on the line. She is your newly crowned Miss Continental Elite, and she goes by the name of Fontasia L'Amour. Ladies and gentlemen, hand clap for her, please. Good morning, Fontasia. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Better now that I can hear you. First of all, let me just say congratulations on your victory. I know it's been a long time coming. And
it certainly is. Thank you very much.
No problem. Now, let me just set the scene for y'all. About 2 weeks ago, I reached out to Fontasia about doing the podcast. And of course, she said, yeah. So I knew I needed, to get my questions and things ready. So I would have to research her. Now, it's not like interviewing a celebrity where you can go and Google and Wikipedia things. So I knew I would be using her Facebook for most of my research. And upon my research, the first thing I noticed that I wanted to ask her about was this teddy bear. Exactly. Now, you got to explain this. Can you please tell us what is going on with this teddy bear?
I'm sorry. I had to laugh on that one.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Oh, my goodness. The teddy bear, his name is Freddie. And Freddie is of great sentimental value to me. He was given to me by a man I call Uncle Gilbert, who's extremely supportive of this craft. Every year, he used to always give me a teddy bear for my birthday or either for Christmas. I mean, literally like clockwork. He would always give me a teddy bear. And I had all these teddy bears piled up. And I ended up putting a lot of my things in storage. And since the texture of him was a little different and he matched my bed, I kind of kept him. And then back a while ago, I believe it was in 2008 when I lost my storage. My things got taken with storage because I didn't make my payment and they took everything, and Freddie was the only one that was left. So after Uncle Gilbert stopped giving me teddy bears, he became of great sentimental value, and he's kind of like a good luck charm. And then just as a joke, when we were in New York, my kids were joking around saying, we should make him a Facebook page and you should make him clothes and stuff like that. I was like, oh, no, you guys are crazy. And we did it, and I made a little video of him, and everybody just kind of fell in love with him. I have even had a couple of people inbox me on wanting to purchase him and buy him.
Oh, wow.
And he's just somebody that, I'm a very sentimental person. So he's of great sentimental value. But I also try to be a very comical person, and I'm a very childlike. And that's just a way of just putting a smile on somebody's face. We know it's not all that serious. But now that they've kind of breathed life into him, I've just taken it and ran with it.
So let me get this straight. The teddy bear, whose name is Freddie, also has a Facebook page.
Yes, he has his own Facebook page, Freddie Rumskin L'Amour.
All right. I'm not judging, but let me just ask, why does the teddy bear have a Facebook page?
There's actually a little secret behind the Facebook page. I guess it's not a secret for me to share it now, but I have almost 5,000 quote-unquote friends or followers, and at the end of the day, we all know that social media, we don't know half these people from a can of paint. So I also created Freddie's page as a way for me to weed out people that I really literally know. People that if I see them walk into a room, I would literally know them and be able to strike up a conversation because I really, really know them. So I monitor his page. Of course, it's obviously through me, but it's a way of just creating a separate page for myself to keep in contact with people that I know for sure, without a doubt, that I certainly know, and people that embrace the fact that I'm very childlike, and they even correspond with me back and forth as though they're talking to Freddie, but they know they're talking to me. But it's just, it's all in good fun.
Okay. So in other words, Freddie is like one of your alter egos.
Right, right. Just kind of keep them, give them some insight on that silly side of me because I'm a very silly person.
You know, it's funny that you say that because one of the main reasons why I started Behind the Makeup, because I know we as the public tend to see people in the industry and we kind of create our own persona of them, whether it's from what we've heard or what we actually see while they're out in public. And now just looking at you and how you portray yourself on stage and out in the public, I never would have gotten that you are, you know, you have a silly side.
Oh yeah, I'm like to my mom. I'm a middle child. My oldest brother passed on in 2005, and I have a younger brother. And what I mean by younger, we're like staircases. Like we're a year apart, each of us. But I've always been the one that was treated like the baby, and I've always been the childlike one, per se. And my mom has always told me that you will never grow up. You should still act like a kid. But that's a way for me to, you know, remain young. You know, you got to try to find a humor in life sometimes. Sometimes people take things just a little bit too serious.
That's true.
And this is like, you know, this is my scapegoat.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell people in a minute, like, you didn't say hi to Freddie, and they'll literally say hi to him.
Okay, so now we know where Freddie comes from and why he's such a sentimental value, and we know the reasoning behind Freddie. Now, when it comes to being Continental Elite, let me ask you, are you stuck in the moment or are you living in the moment? And when I say stuck in the moment, are you still in a state of shock that you've actually won Continental Elite, or are you just, you know, flat out just living in the, you know, just...
I can only interpret this question the way I'm going to answer it.
Okay.
And I feel like I'm living in the moment. And I've been living in the moment since 2010. I think 2010, when I first made my attempt for Continental, it was my first time after a 7-year hiatus. And from that moment until now, I've been going every single year. So I feel like I've been living in that moment from that time until now. Now I feel like I can kind of exhale and not feel like a competitor all the time and just sit back and reap in the glory and just, you know, enjoy my reign and do what I set out to do a long, long time ago. Although it is through the elite division, it's still Continental to me. So when I calculate the number of times I ran for Continental, I include the 13 attempts for Continental and my first attempt for Continental Elite, which makes 14.
So up until this point, you've competed for Continental as a whole a total of 14 times.
Exactly.
Wow. Now, let me ask, now that the dust is settled, have you sat back and said, you know, damn, I won Elite. I really wanted to win the Miss Division. Has there been a point where you said, you know what, I should have just kept this package and just, you know, went back to Miss instead of doing Elite?
Like going back to acknowledging the fact that I'm a sentimental person,
mm-hmm.
I can't describe the feeling in the room when you know that you have 99.9% of everyone's support. Everyone is content with results. You know, we've been there, done that. We've seen pageants where people can get rude and they'll say boo and this and that. But I think that my announcement as Miss Continental Elite, I felt so embraced. And for the first time, getting such a thunderous standing ovation for a talent number that's really considered a solo talent number. All those things in every single package that I had for each division, it all added up in order to embrace all of that. So it just made it all that more easy to accept and embrace. You know what I mean?
Oh, of course. I could definitely understand it. So there's no regrets.
Exactly.
So let me ask you this. Up until recently, I myself, and I follow pageants, I was really unaware of what the elite division was. So can you explain to people, especially for the people that's listening that are still unaware of the difference between the Miss division and the elite division?
I can explain the difference between the two from my personal perspective. And because I feel as though a lot of people get the elite division misconstrued because it's quote unquote for the older girls or the girls that that probably could never win Miss Continental. But lo and behold, within the past couple of years, we have proven that not to be so, which makes me also bring up the fact that Miss Roxy Hart was just crowned your reigning Miss Gay US of A, and she's close to 60. So, but to answer your question, in my personal opinion, elite is simply the word that it is. It is for the cream of the crop, the la creme. It is for the best. However, in order to be required to run for elite, you have to be 40 years or older.
And that's where my interpretation went wrong, because I was always under the impression that you would have to win Miss Continental, and then that will qualify you to go on to compete for the elite division. But actually, it's not. There's a age requirement. Now, what made you say, you know what, I'm not going to go back to the Miss division this year. I'm going to go and do elite?
Well, actually, what made me say that was I actually took a detour. I've had my eyes set on Continental for a long time, and I said to myself, I want to do Continental. And then after Continental, I want to do Continental Elite. So jumping to Elite was really somewhat of a detour. I have so many fans and followers, and, you know, they all know that they have the answers to everything, and they tell you this and they tell you that. But at the end of the day, it is your decision. However, I am influenced by a lot of people, and I get my inbox is completely full on saying, girl, you should sit out a year, or you should go right back, or you should do this, or you should do that. You should revamp your talent, and you should do this. Everyone has something to say about, you know, what they feel that you should do. And what I didn't want to do is stop the momentum of my consistency in running every single year consecutively. So I just took a detour to Continental Elite. While taking that detour, I'd realized that I've gained so much more gratification and satisfaction with being here at my age, because I'm over 50. And I feel as though a lot of things that I've accomplished even prior to that have validated me as an entertainer. My package that I just used for Continental Elite, I think by far it probably could have been victorious for regular Continental. But I'm content with where I'm at, and I feel as though being embraced by so many people who were just as happy for me as I am for myself, I'm just trying to enjoy this ride the best way I can and insert a lot of positivity into the pageant arena, period, because I think old school girls and the elite girls are the ones that bring that back. This particular year was self-evident of that, just by the number of competitors that were just amazing this year.
It was a great competition this year. And I totally agree with the part about trying to insert some positivity back into the pageant arena, because it's like there is none. Every time after a major competition, even the small competitions, the newcomer divisions, it's always something, whether it's politics with the judges, it's just always something. So I feel like anywhere there's space available for positivity, there needs to be. Now, when I look at Continental, I think about the Oscars. And in my opinion, I feel like every actress or actor wants to win an Oscar, because it's like the highest award. Do you feel like everybody in the pageant arena wants to be Continental?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, and I don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers, with us discussing this, but I just always felt like everybody at some point, no matter what pageant you do, at some point, everybody wants to be Continental, and you feel the same way.
Yeah, I do. I honestly do. And I think that a lot of people might be diplomatic and speaking around, beating around the bush to not really admit and say that. But I can say with confidence that I think that Continental is definitely one of the most prestigious titles to have as national representation. But it's not knocking any other system, because there's so many more that we can name. But now with multiple pageants out there, it's kind of very difficult to determine what is prestigious and what isn't. And I can comfortably say that there's a handful of systems, which I will not name, but Continental definitely is at the top of the list as far as something that everyone wants to be a part of. I think Victoria LePage said that the year she won within her Q&A, that contrary to anyone's belief, everybody wants to be Continental. And I'm very fortunate to have that opportunity now.
Yes, you are. And I'm sure the feeling must be amazing after such a long journey. Now, I have to ask you this. On last year, Giselle, who's very beautiful, young, and talented, very talented, she was victorious at capturing the title of Miss Continental. Was there ever a point where you said to yourself, you know what, I'm going to take a break, or you know what, I don't even think I'm going back? Was there ever that, that feeling where, because I know that people have competed for Continental for years and, they've eventually won and some haven't won. Was there ever a point where you felt like, you know what, maybe I'm just not cut out for this, being that she's so young and, she hasn't ran that many times?
Oh, no. You know what, that night, when Giselle was crowned, that night, and I can only speak for myself, I've been one to be in that situation a number of times. I'm very, very humbled, and I'm very, very happy for anyone who prevails. And I'm always content, especially with the 5. Once you make the 5, it's like, I feel like every single person, even sometimes the 12, every single one of those individuals are capable of being a title holder. It's just the lucky one that was selected by the opinions of those judges at that particular time. I always tell people that whether it's my mom or my brothers or my sons, their opinions don't matter at that point. It's the judges' opinions. And when you learn to respect that, it's easy to embrace the fact that you're a first runner-up or a second runner-up. And you just give the girl her glory and let her have her moment, because I would never want that taken away from me. And when you look at things and you analyze and dissect everything, for me personally, it always adds up and it's always right. So I was beyond happy for her. And that same night, I went back to my hotel to find out that my family, my sons had orchestrated, unbeknownst to me, a reunion with my mom, who had been there all weekend, and I had no idea she was there. And I had said that was like my prize, my prize for that weekend. But and mind you, Giselle was also very influential in persuading me to go for Continental Elite.
Oh, wow. How?
By saying to me, and I quote, "Girl, it's the same crown." I could hear her saying that. And I was like, you know what, she's right. And I was going to do it anyway. So I said, let me go on and detour and do this, because I did not want to sit out another year, it was either sitting out another year and going back to Continental and then eventually doing Elite, or just going ahead and just starting my quest for Elite to go back to Continental. But again, like I said earlier, now that I've achieved this, I feel content with where I'm at and very, very pleased, more than I thought I would be.
And at this point, I think that's all that really matters. Now, we mentioned earlier that, by the opinion of both of us, that everybody wants to be Continental. Tell me why you wanted to be Continental.
Because I was the very person and persons who sit in the audience and patronize these events today, that sit back and watch in awe and say, wow, this is amazing. I would love to be a part of this. And what really got me started, may she rest in peace, was my admiration for her tenacity, Sasha Valentino. I remember sitting up in the balcony at Park West and seeing her. Every single time she would run, she was always the very creative and innovative person. She was always, set a different tone. And she was always consistent in everything that she did. And my personal relationship with her as a friend just made my admiration, not only for her, but for her through the system, because Continental was my first form of being introduced to pageantry at all. And the person that stood out to me in the pageants at that particular time was Sasha Valentino, whom I've also even competed with. I'm going to tell you a quick story.
Go ahead. I love stories.
And it'll take a person to really analyze and dissect all the years that I ran for Continental. If you peep all the DVDs and everything that I've done, there's always hints of Sasha Valentino somewhere within my presentation or within one of my categories. It's there. You just have to, you have to kind of know the both of us to really see it. Like, I mean, just to give you an example, one year my swimsuit, on the back of it, it said Ting, which is a slang that was very well known by Sasha Valentino. One year I did a talent where everything was white because it was influenced by her talent number that she did with everything white in the background. I've also owned a necklace that had Valentino across it. The jewelry that I wore this past year had V dangles on it for Valentino. So just little hints of things, very, very light innuendos that I carry in my heart for her and her quest and my personal relationship with her. So that was one of the things that was my biggest introduction into pageantry through Continental.
And even talking about Sasha Valentino, somebody with such style, grace, and stage presence, she was unbelievable. May God bless her soul. Now let's go through one of your categories from your package this year. Let's go through presentation. I want to know who made what and how did all that stuff come together.
Okay, wow. Well, presentation was very last minute because I have so many white dresses. I could have pulled anything out of my closet. Coming off of my Westland reign, we were required to wear, a white gown at every single crowning. So I always wanted to wear a different white gown. But I just wanted to have something new. So my son, Taj Valentino, sent me a photo of something that he said, "Mother, I would love to see you in this." I was like, I don't have time to make that. So I ended up hiring a designer by the name of Tony. Oh my goodness, I can't think of his name. Mendoza. It's on my Facebook page.
Okay, we can actually post it during the editing part of the video.
But he's done a lot of work for a lot of the girls here in Southern California. And by me being a seamstress myself, I'm very nitpicky about clean edges and, finished quality. And I looked at his clothes inside and out from other people. And I got his number. We hooked up. I gave him a photo. And he literally duplicated the dress exactly the way I wanted it. It was probably 3 inches too long, and I ended up taking it up myself. And it was also his first time having something from his collection on the Continental stage ever. And I'm going to have to get his name and correct his name. I know his name is Tony, but I don't want to screw up his last name. But that was my white presentation, and all of my jewelry was made by a young lady by the name of Bernadette, who has a store here in Los Angeles, California.
Okay, let's do another one. Let's do sportswear. Swimwear.
My swimsuit actually was made by Adam McGee, who is the partner of Chad Michaels. And what I like about Adam's work is his swimsuits. I've won in one of his swimsuits before, and I've had several of his swimsuits in my collection. And what I like most about his swimsuits is, for one, you can literally go swimming in them. They're not just literally made for stage. You can actually go take a dip in the pool. The quality is great. And he's very, very meticulous in finished edges. And his work is just absolutely amazing. It's something that I would wear for a photo shoot that's shot in high resolution, and they can zoom in on the seams and everything's going to be stitched in just to perfection. And I wanted to have a militant type of a feel, but I wanted to also enhance my heritage. So I put the afro on, which is also influenced to me through Flame Monroe when she came over and I showed her my swimsuit. And she was like, "You should wear an afro wig and you should come out and you should do this and you should put your fist up." And I was like, okay, I like that. And the jewelry, every piece of jewelry that I wore for my swimsuit there was nothing that was more than $2 as far as the jewelry is concerned. And the shoes ironically matched perfectly, and I ordered them online. I think I paid like $47 for them.
Okay. Now, I was going to stop right there, but tell me about, I think it's your final night gown. And the only reason why I really want to talk about this gown is because I know Quentin played a big part of it. He's a maestro at what he does, and I love Quentin. So tell me about, I think it's your final night gown.
My final night, there's an interesting story behind that gown because someone offered to sponsor me a gown, and then for whatever reason, unfortunately it didn't happen. But because I had my mind set on it, it was actually a store-bought dress from a bridal boutique that I found. And it's very rare for a girl of my size and my height to find a dress that actually fits as far as the length is concerned. And because I didn't have a lot of time to spend on sewing, I found this dress. It fit me beautifully. And I knew that I can send it to Quentin in Atlanta and let him work his magic. I did not tell him to do anything other than I said, just do you. You have the freedom to do whatever you do, but make this dress as though you're wearing it Continental worthy, and I need to win this category. And that's what I said to him. And lo and behold, those category winnings are not announced for final night, but I actually did win gown final night with that white gown that was originally a store-bought dress that I sent to him and had it embellished. I did share some images on my Facebook page, some before and after images, and the work in it was really amazing, and it definitely goes into what I call my vault, my vault of specialty gowns in my attic.
I can only imagine the inventory inside of that vault. Quickly, because I don't want to run out of time. Let's talk about your mom for a second, and what's your relationship like with her?
My mother is, when I'm having a conversation, and this has happened so many times before, I've had a conversation with my mom and I'll hang up the phone. And then sometimes people say, well, who's that? I say, oh, that was my mom. That was your mother? Talking to you like that? My mother calls me and says, what's the tea? What's going on? She calls me Miss Thing. She embraces this lifestyle. She has loved and accepted me for who I am and who I've become. She's my number one fan. She is a Fontasia fanatic. And to have that in this day and age, and in this lifestyle and in this industry is beyond a blessing.
Yes, it is.
All of my kids, she even embraces them. She calls them her grandkids. She even calls Freddie.
Oh,
she calls
God.
Freddie her son and all of that. She's very, I think that actually validates the fact that she also possesses the same thing that I possess. We both have this childlike quality about ourselves. But to answer your question, me and my mom have a wonderful relationship, and she's very, very supportive of this craft, period. And she even has favorites that she enjoys.
Which was one of my questions for you. Who do you look up to and admire or enjoy seeing perform?
I can mention quite a few.
Give me two.
Tommy Ross has been someone that I've admired for a very, very long time. One of my first times I ever did Continental, I just remember spotting her face in the audience to the point where I felt distracted because I was like, who's this Ebony Fashion Fair supermodel sitting out here with this little short hair? Either her hair was really short or it was snatched back in a bun or something. And I came off stage, I was like, oh my God, she's beautiful. Was that a queen? Or what? I didn't know what. All I know is she was just gorgeous. And when I found out who she was and just followed her career, and now we even have a personal relationship. She even stays here with me when she's in town. She's just one of quite a few who I really, really admire. My number one entertainer in the industry and above all is Miss Tasha Long, who I've always been inspired by because she has this, I don't know if you ever heard the term rubber face, a person that can just be just about anybody when they do their makeup, from Tina Turner to Dionne Warwick to even Whitney Houston. I've just always really, really admired her. So that's where the term rubber face comes from.
Okay. Now, what advice would you give to somebody that's just coming into the whole pageant industry?
That's a good question. And it's also, and when I answer this question, I realized that 10 years ago, I probably would have answered it a different way. But as a veteran and as a much more mature, I'm not going to say older, a much more mature person in this industry, what we have to realize is that every 10 years, decades, it's a decade, and those decades change. When you think of the 60s, you think of the 60s. When you think of the 70s, you think of the 70s. So I'm saying that to say that as of today, right now, what we're experiencing in our culture is a lot of hate, and there's a lot of bickering, and there's a lot of social media bashing. And I think it's because a lot of people don't embrace and have that camaraderie that a lot of the old school girls had back in the day. So what I try to instill in the younger generation today is the most important thing, and I mean beyond important, is to simply be humble, because someone else paved the way for you, and you should always show some type of gratitude and appreciation for that, because without a lot of us and a lot of other people in whatever industry, these people wouldn't be who they are without us. And I mean genuinely people that have been in this industry and have become who they are on their own merit, not because of their popularity or because they were on some movie or some TV show or something like that. Because a lot of these girls today are just not humbled at all. So I always try to and just tell the girls, just have to be humble, because what's done and what you've achieved can be taken away at the drop of a hat.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree. But, it's game time.
You're listening to Behind the Makeup, the podcast. And it's game time, baby.
All right, I'm not going to hurt you too bad. I'm just going to say 3 things, and you tell me the first things that come to mind, all right?
Okay.
No, listen, I'm not going to say anything crazy, and it's only 3 things, so you're good. First one, fruit.
Bananas.
Movie.
The color purple.
Giselle.
Rochelle Farrell.
What the hell? Let's do one more. Continental. Fontasia. All right. Now, see, that wasn't bad at all, right?
That was fun.
It was. Thank you so much for playing. Now, let me ask you, what's next for you?
Continental has consumed my life for these past consecutive years. And I want to really, really focus on pushing and promoting this elite division, which brings me back to, I feel that this is the reason why my destiny was for elite, because it's one of the systems that had been overlooked in the past. This past year, these girls brought old school back to the stage. They brought what pageantry has always been and what pageantry should be, because sometimes people can kind of take the fun out of pageantry, especially with social media now. My plan is to just do everything I can to promote and get the contestant numbers up, because I know that there's so many people literally sitting in the audience with intentions of coming and being a part of this. And I encourage them all to come and get a piece, because it is so, so worth it. And being acknowledged as elite has nothing to do, once again, with age. It's being acknowledged as being, one of the best. So I want to complete my reign and finish out my year, and then focus on doing whatever I can to help others in the world of pageantry. I'm also a promoter, semi-promoter for Southern California Continental Elite, which is owned by Anton Mulvaney, my promoter. And I kind of went on board with him as not necessarily a co-promoter, but someone that's going to be behind him and helping him to support as much as I can, and to the point where I can comfortably say that I am a Continental promoter. I eventually wanted to become a Westland promoter as well. And sitting back watching all my years, I just know the importance of being able to rely on people who keep their word and make promises that they know that they can keep, because as a competitor and as a contestant, it's very important to have that emotional support, sometimes more than financial support. And that's what I want to sit out and be after my reign. As far as other pageantry systems, I do have a few things under my belt right now, but it's just so not important at this moment. The most important thing is to complete my reign and help others as much as I can, and then figure out what else I want to do. And if and when I do, it will definitely be my next quest as far as pageantry will probably either be US of A or a Universe.
Oh, okay. When you say Universe, you're talking about Miss Black Universe, right?
Yes, MBU.
Oh, yes. I would love to see you compete for MBU. Now, listen, we are out of time according to the timer that I set, but I have to ask you at least this last question. Can you just briefly tell us, how was your Westland reign? Because I see that D West is so involved in his system, and it seems to be going really good, and, you know, everybody wants to go green. Just briefly tell us, how was it being Miss Westland?
My Westland reign was probably the best year for me for 2016. Prior to doing Westland, I had every intention on wanting to do it, but the year prior to that, they had a rule where you couldn't compete for another pageantry system simultaneously while reigning. And once that ban was lifted, when I found out about it, which was through Valentino, and it was actually at a US of A prelim I was at supporting my son, Xavier Valentino, when he pulled me aside and explained to me that the ban was lifted. And I looked over to D West, I said, I'm running for Westland. I didn't know, so now I can run this year. And it was kind of a way of me escaping from Continental just for a moment to focus on something else that I wanted, yet still be able to continue competing for Continental at the same time. And everything tended to work for me that year because I went into Continental representing Liberty Continental, which by far was my only year that I've ever did Continental stress-free because I had great promoters. But all of that instilled in me within my year, which was what made me want to be a part of promoting, and me wanting to be a part of promoting not only Westland but Continental. It's kind of my way of giving back to the systems that have given me national recognition. But Westland, the camaraderie and the family type of feel that you get from everyone there is just so amazing. And then tackling that fact that so many people did not believe in me and so many people did not think that I would run for Westland for whatever reason. You just never know what's in a person's heart. And Westland was my heart because they really focus a lot on promotion, which is one of my specialties. So that's one of the main reasons, other than the fact that I had a great deal of admiration for the founder, Mr. D. West. And I found out after I won that the Mr. and Miss division was actually ran by Isaiah and Alex. So Westland is definitely a part of my heart. And even throughout my Continental reign, whatever I can do or be a part of that's Westland oriented, I'm going to try to make it and be a part of that. But after I step down from this, I'm just going to be a part of both things that I really, really admire.
Okay. What stops are you taking? What is your schedule looking like? What's your next appearance?
My official first appearance as Miss Elite for an Elite prelim was going to be in Ohio, which is on July the 2nd.
Okay.
And the owner of that preliminary is Lawrence Barr in Cleveland, Ohio. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. It's going to be a great and amazing contest because it's all 4 divisions.
All right. Now, if you're in the area and you want to see a great competition, be sure to go check out Miss Continental Elite, Miss Continental, Miss Continental Plus, and Mr. Continental. 4 divisions in one night. The timer is ticking, Fontasia. Thank you so very, very much for talking to me today. It's truly, truly been a pleasure, and I look forward to speaking to you soon again, I hope.
Okay, cool. Anytime. Just let me know.
Most definitely. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Miss Continental Elite 2017-18, Fontasia Lamar. Fontasia, have a beautiful, beautiful day.
Okay, babe. Have a good one.
You too.